Hello. Okay, today we are going to use what we know about the size of benchmark numbers to compare fractions. So when we talk about benchmark numbers, that's something new that we haven't spoken about before, benchmark numbers. We're talking about the number 0. So any fraction that would mean 0 would be 0 over any denominator, right? So 0 over a denominator. 1 is a benchmark number. So 0, 1 whole, which would be like 3 over 3 or 2 over 2. Those are all equal to 1 whole, right? Any number over itself. The numerator and the denominator are the same. And then 1/2. Those are our 3 benchmark fractions, 0, 1/2, and 1. So when we talk about 1/2, it's any fraction that's equivalent to 1/2 would be 2/4, right? Because 2 is half of 4. 3, sorry, bad handwriting. 3/6, 5/10. Those are all 1/2. Okay. So today we're going to compare fractions to 0, 1/2, and 1. So when I compare fractions that don't have common numerators or denominators like we've been doing, I can think about them related to benchmark fractions. So we can compare them to benchmark fractions. So what I like to do is create my own benchmark fractions underneath and figure out where would they place, right? We have 0 and we have 1. Well, and 1/2. I'm actually going to erase those. So say we wanted to pick the number 5/8, okay? 5/8. We have to figure out where on this number line it would go. Let's put this in the back. Sorry. Okay. It's getting hidden. All right, so 5/8. Where on the number line would it go? Would it go close to 0? Would it go close to 1/2? Or would it go close to 1? So let's think about this. We know that 5/8, 0/8 would be equivalent to 0, 0 and 0/8, and then 8/8 would be equivalent to 1. Right? So we could also think about a half. Half of 8 is 4. So 4/8 is equivalent to 1/2. So 5/8, would it be close to 0/8, 4/8, or 8/8? So I know it's between 4/8 and 8/8 and closer to 4/8, so that's where we're going to place it on the number line. Somewhere around here. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, let's move on to our next fraction. Do we have any more eighths? Oh, we have another eighth down here. So 1/8. 1/8 is obviously less than 5/8, right? It's closer to 0. 0/8, 1/8, 4/8, 5/8, 8/8. So we're going to put it around here. So 1/8 is definitely less than 5/8. All right, let's move on to thirds. Ooh, thirds are a little bit different. When we think about thirds, right, we need to take 2/3 and figure out where it would go on the number line. So 3/3 would go here. 3/3 is equivalent to 1. 0/3 is equivalent to 0. So where would 2/3 go? We only have 0, 1, 2, 3. So this number line is broken up into thirds, right? We don't have a tick mark right in the middle. So it'd be 1/3 would probably be about here. 2/3 would probably be about here. So we're comparing 2/3 to 1/8. 2/3 is definitely greater than 1/8 because it's further along on the number line. All right, on to our next fraction. Next we have fourths, right? We have 2/4. I know that 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2, so it would go right here. Actually, I'm going to make it even smaller so we can put it right underneath 1/2. 2/4 and 1/2 are equivalent. So I'm going to put it right there on the number line. 2/4 is less than 5/8. 2/4 is less than 2/3. 2/4 is greater than 1/8 because we're comparing them to benchmark fractions. All right, what about 2/6? Now 2/6, we know 6/6 would be here at 1. 0/6 would be down here. 3/6 is our half point, right? 3/6 is equivalent to 1/2. So 2/6 is less than 1/2. 2/6 is greater than 0 and less than 1/2. All right. Let's keep on going. We have 3 more fractions that we need to compare. 6/10, 3/5, and 5/12. So 5/12, let's start with 5/12. We know this would be 12/12. And that would be 0/12, right? Half of 12 is 6. So 5/12 must be less than 6/12, right? Because 5 is less than 6. So it's less than, it is less than 1/2. All right, just 2 more fractions, and then we can move on. All right, we have fifths, so 5/5, 0/5. Where would 3/5 be on the number line? Is 3/5 closer to 0 or closer to 5? Would it go after a half or before the half? Let's think. Half of 5, half of 5, if we have 5 pieces and we want to split them in half, it would be a little bit, we wouldn't be able to do it because everyone would get 2, and then we'd still have 1 left over. So half of 5 is a little bit less than 3. If we had 3/5 and you compared it to a half, 3/5 is actually a little bit more than 1/2. So 3/5 would be closer to 5/5, right? Because it's 3 jumps away and only 2 jumps away from 5/5. So it would be closer to here on the number line. And then the very last one is 6/10. So 0/10 would go here. 10/10 would go down here. 10/10 is equal to 1 whole. Half of 10 is 5, so 5/10 is our half, is equivalent to 1/2. So now 6/10 is 6/10 closer to 0, closer to 5, or closer to 10? It's definitely closer to 5, and we know it's a little bit more than 5, so it would go further on the number line, probably right around here, close to 5/8, right? We don't have to be placing them perfectly on the number line. We just have to know where they are in comparison to 0, 1/2, and 1. So that's kind of what we're thinking about, how numbers are compared to their benchmark fractions, 0, 1/2, and 1. Okay, now we're comparing these last 2 fractions, 2/6 and 6/10. Okay, think about where 2/6 and 6/10 would be. Let's start with 2/6. 2 out of 6, right? If we divided this into 6 jumps from 0 to 1, now that's hard to see because I'm in the way. Sorry. Okay. If we took this number line and broke it up into 6 parts, right? Only 2 jumps away would be 2/6. I would still have, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It would only be about here, right? I'm not doing this perfectly. I'm just saying about, right? Because we're comparing them to 0, 1/2, and 1 whole. 0/6, this would be about 3/6, and this would be 6/6. Then when we go down over to 6/10, we have 0/10. This would be 5/10 is 1/2, and this would be 10/10. Where would 6/10 be? Right about here, a little bit more than 5/10 would be 6/10. So now looking at these, we know 6/10 is closer to 1 whole and 2/6 is closer to 0. So 6/10 must be more than 2/6. Okay, so now you know how to compare fractions with benchmark fractions. You can definitely use an interactive tool to look at fraction tiles too. It would definitely help you when you're comparing them to 1/2, because sometimes when we're comparing them to 1/2, it gets a little bit tricky. So you can definitely use that as a tool to help you with these problems. But you can head on to Pearson and complete your quick check and your independent practice. Good luck.